What is up, everybody? It is your ever-loving Uncle Fish back again for the School of...
Look, I'm trying my best to get out of this, and I know it ain't looking pretty.
Just trust me, I know I'll probably rewatching all these live streams again.
And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you on, too, as co-host, is because you use an iPad and I use the PC. And so far, little Kyron Silva from California is the only person that's found it yet. Lots of people have found, if you don't get the mini comics, you still get to enjoy the book. It's still awesome. But if you like getting the extra juicy bits, you want to get the mini comics.
The juicy bits now. Now, hold up. Listen, my birthday was literally just yesterday. Now I got to get myself a birthday gift for me. I got to get the DeLorean. By the way, he stated that he does not like you. If anything to quote.
Oh, yeah. I totally sympathize with him hating it. Perfectly normal response.
Sir, you're giving me dangerous ideas right now. You're giving me very, very dangerous ideas.
I totally forgot that I had that intro.
Yeah, and everybody's
that
like,
aired
okay,
like maybe 4 times before. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the School of Fish, an impromptu evening School of Fish episode with my buddy Joe Soliz of Child's Play Comics. Happy to have you here, man. How are you doing?
Good, but everybody's confused because they're like, wait, who's the other Hispanic dude in that intro, and who's this Hispanic dude? So
yeah, they're not
like
interchangeable.
Lane
Don't
Fish
you know
was
that,
on your
Uncle
show.
Fish? I'm aware. But yeah, I brought Esteban on to be my co-host on School of Fish for a while, and then we very quickly turned that into Roll for Hero because we both wanted to do that show and had the idea separately, and then it was like, oh, well, if I found somebody who wants to do it with me, let's just do that instead. And we've ended up getting a really awesome group of fans. And so what is up, Mr. Nope? Good to see you. We've got a really awesome group of people like Mr. Nope, some of whom would come hang out for 3 hours sometimes watching us draw, but now we have to cut a little shorter so we can get to 5-star right after. But yeah, we are here tonight. We are going to be working on a pinup for my buddy Joe here. What is this event that you're going to again?
So it's it's an event in Austin. It's in April. It's called Staple. Want to say it's been around forever and ever. It's I haven't been to it. I went into an attendee way back in 2014, and thankfully it survived COVID. It's a pretty neat con in that it like focuses not just on comics, but I'm gonna read it straight off the website here: zines, art, crafts, games. I remember we found some tabletop games there because 2014 was right when we were starting our store that we used to have, and so we found some local creators there and got to carry their games and stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously this will be the first time we're going as vendors, but it literally has been over a decade since I went just at all. So, but their mascot is pretty unique. It's basically it's not just a dude with a staple head. It could be anything. It could be a gator with a staple head. Apparently the guy who runs it, which I told you before, y'all would hit it off because you're Uncle Fish. Well, he's Uncle Staple. So you can have 2 uncles that you love. Yeah, you're pulling up several examples of art that people have given over the years. So he does a pretty neat thing where you can submit something to be printed in their program, much like what you're seeing on the screen here. Just any random version of this character. Like I said, it can be any variation of something with the staple head. And so since this is already coming up, well, actually the deadline is coming up here in March to get this submitted. So that's why I decided to turn to the fastest pen in the comics.
That's what you do when when it's time to put the rubber to the road, you got to call Uncle Fish and get in here and get it done because that's what I'm known for. Getting it in at the last minute. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
pretty
working
sure
on a project for Travis Gibb with Fred Schwartz, and I feel so bad that we are getting in so close to the line, and the line is like the end of March, and I have some revisions I have to do to the colors now, but like that is really close to the wire for me normally is like the end of the month. I'm not used to being that close, and apparently other people are still deep in the works, but I'm I'm not comfortable with it. It puts me out of my comfort zone. I'm
Oh, hi.
usually
How
early.
do Brian? Is that you in the chat, Brian? Pretty sure Ranger Drake's son is my friend Brian. Yeah, we'll see who else shows up tonight. Yeah, man, I was hoping to have, but we did that Kickstarter in January because we wanted to try the main 100 that they do every
Yeah.
January. So we came up with this idea to put together a cover of all our stuff because it just so happened to equal 100 pages. So I think so right now we've been back and forth with some printing. That's the first time we're using them because they were the the place here in the U.S. or that I could find that did hardcovers because we weren't going to ever print more than 100 of them, but we're actually because of the number of backers we had, I think I'm only going to have to print 50 in the end. So didn't want to adhere to these overseas, minimums of like 500 or more.
Yeah.
But excited to
Well, and
finally
if you
have an
definitely if it's
actual
not
hardcover.
something you plan on keeping perennially, then yeah, it's not worth getting a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, but thankfully Jesse's been helping with all the technical difficulties so far. It's so funny, like every time, because this will technically be the third printer we've used. The first two were strictly comic stuff, but it's
Mhm.
like every time there's something new to learn, or every printer's different, have their own preferences, or their website works
Oh yeah.
different, or it's just like I just want to submit this, and somebody who knows what they're doing just take the PDF from me and go put it on real paper and send it back to me. That's all I'm.
I was
But
really surprised once I started working in small press indie books, like just how much of a difference there is in printing specs from one place to another, and they're basically the same. Like, usually, it's just a matter of, like, an eighth of an inch this way or that way, but that little bit makes a big difference after you count for, like, the gutters and balloon placement and bleed trim, and now all of a sudden, like, balloons that were close to the edge before, or maybe you had the edge of your balloon being trimmed at the end of the page, but all the dialogue was safe. Now that there's an eighth of an inch difference in the page layout, that dialogue's getting cut, or things like
Mhm.
that. Like if you really push the extremes, if you're not going old school with a big fat border around it, then it can be a problem. And I've I've started, and some people don't know and it bothers them, but I've started asking new people, like, where are you planning on getting this printed? So I can use their template from their website and make sure that it's going to fit within what they want and it's set up right from the beginning, rather than I put all this work into drawing it and then you decide where you want it to get printed at, and now nothing fits right, or there's a white
Yeah.
little bit of white at the top of all the pages or something. And
And
let's
then you
fix
can
that
do
in the
everything.
beginning.
Then you can do everything right, use their templates and everything, and there's still an issue.
Mhm.
That's what happened to
Oh,
us.
100%. 100%. Absolutely can. Do that
and
all the
then and,
time.
and then sometimes the files are just fine. The files are pretty perfect, but then when that they physically cut that page, sometimes I get a
Oh, yeah,
weird
there can
cut,
be
and
so
I'm
many little
like, "Did you
mistakes.
not see that an entire section of the first. Oh, it is my friend Brian.
Yeah, I mean
welcome, welcome to Ultra Comics too.
It makes such a difference. I mean, and like that's why most places, like say, like the bleed trim is approximate, like it's within this area. It's not dead on this line. That's why we go past that line, because like
Yeah,
it gets shoved into the cutters by guys that are getting paid whatever they're getting paid, but it's not their life goal to be shoving stacks of comics into a paper cutter. And so sometimes you get what you get. I used to know the guy that did that job at the sign shop I worked at when we printed big things of whatever it is, like bumper stickers or flyers or whatever we were printing, and for a client. And as little as he cared about his job, I'm surprised anything ever came out looking nice. But yeah,
on his phone in one hand and with the chopper in the other.
oh man, he was. I think about that guy so much now, because my wife is a very lovely, kind, sensitive soul, and it really bothers her if for any reason she thinks somebody doesn't like her. Whether it's real or imagined, if she thinks somebody doesn't like her, it upsets her to her core. And she cannot cope in that world where somebody doesn't like her. And for me, being undiagnosed autistic growing up, I was used to everybody not liking me. So I'm used to making people mad and not having any idea why I made you mad. For the longest time, like I didn't know it made people mad if I said you were fat. I mean, you're fat. Yeah, how was I'm fat? How was I going to know it's going to upset somebody?
You're like, I'm using a descriptor, not an insult.
Yeah, and like I didn't
so basically,
realize
your wife,
I had to get in a big thing with my shrink, and she was arguing with me for like an entire session about why calling people selfish is rude and it hurts people's feelings. And I couldn't get that through my head, because to me, selfish is just an emotionless descriptor. It just means that like you care about yourself more than you care about anybody else or whatever else is going. Like, greedy would mean you care more about financial gain in this situation than you do yourself or other ones. Selfish means you care more about your interests. Selfless would mean you care more about somebody else's. It was just a descriptor. It didn't have all this emotional connotation to it. And so like I didn't know I was hurting people's feelings. It bothers her very much. Absolutely, Matthew. She is coming back to Tulip City. She's actually really excited because some of those places she wanted to go for Tulip going frivolity are supposed to be open now this time, and she's super excited about that. But it really bugs her. I'm used to it. I worked with this dude.
Your wife is Rose from the Golden Girls. That.
Oh, she cannot handle it, man. You gotta like her, and she's really sweet and kind. Matthew can attest. There you go, Colby. She's so sweet. She's so kind. She's so generous. Everybody likes her. So if it doesn't, that's really unusual for her. Whereas I'm used to it. But I think about John from work all the time from the sign shop, because looking back, I think he was probably autistic too and never got diagnosed, because I mean he was older than me. And when I was a kid, if you weren't nonverbal, you weren't autistic. And so anyway, he was so mean. He came across so gruff. And if my manager hadn't have warned me the first time I went in there to deliver something to him to get shipped, I probably would have popped him. And you're absolutely right, Matthew. She is wonderful and thoughtful. I went to take him a UPS package, and she was like, all right, now, just to be clear, John's going to be ugly with you. He's going to act nasty. Don't take it personal. That's just the way John is. And I was like, okay. And I go take him a package. I'm like, yeah, this is for UPS. Oh, what am I supposed to do with this now? I guess I'm just going to derail my whole day so I can do your UPS package, huh? That's how this works now that you're hired? And I was like, yeah, pretty much. And handed it to him and walked off and bit my tongue. But like, because I learned that's the way he is, eventually I got used to him, and we became as close to friends as he's ever going to have. And like, at lunch on Fridays after we got paid, he'd be standing there awkwardly in the doorway by the time clock, and he's like, "Are we going to go to the bank and get these checks cashed or what?" And I'm like, "You want to go to the bank, John? Let's go to the bank," because he didn't drive. So I give him a ride, and we get lunch at Wendy's, and we'd have a big time. But I think about him a lot because of my wife, because she's like, I can't take it. And I'm like, I think about John all the time. He's got to live life with everybody.
Yeah, there was an entire episode where somebody didn't like Rose, and she spent the whole episode trying to get this guy to like her, and he finally had to lie to her so he would leave him alone. Oh man, you talk about taking a guy like that to the bank. That's probably the customer I would have ended up with when I was a bank. I always ended up with the crazies. Because here's one for you. Because my legal name is Jose, so the saying was, if the customer is cray, send him to Jose. So I would deal with all the crazies, and I probably would have calmed him down too. I had my fair share of other customers that people would not want to deal with at all, and I'm like, just send them my way, and they would become like my best customers because people just gave up on them.
Yeah, that's the thing. A little bit of time and stuff, and my brain doesn't work like everybody else's anyway, so it's not I can separate things real easily, and I love you too, but it's weird listening to you talk about me. Yeah, you should go ahead and get off so I can really tell you about my wife. Oh my goodness. Have fun, be safe. She is in Atlanta, I think, right now on a trip with her mom over to the coast to go see see her niece and nephew, her mom's grandkids, and her brother's kids. That's probably the easier way to say that. And so I'm gonna be on my own for a while.
So we can really oh man, are you serious? I gotta make a road trip. We gotta have a guys' night out there.
She's worried about me too, because there's no telling. She's so worried like my ticks are gonna get real bad or something, or and there's not gonna be anybody around to help me out. But I've been there before. I'll be all right. Worst case scenario, I go without eating one night.
You just make up for it the next day. Two meals at the same time. We're gonna be in Houston on Memorial Day weekend. Forget how far Houston is for you.
I'd have to look on a map. I mix all the cities up together, and you can't do that in Texas. Like, mistaking a city in Arkansas is maybe a 3-hour difference. Like, mistaking a city in Texas is like a day drive. And so you can't just go willy-nilly with, Houston, Austin, it's the same thing. Yeah, no, it's not the same thing.
No, it's not. What's your town called again?
Conway, Arkansas would be the easiest one to find. It's closest to me. I technically live in Valonia, but that's a hard name to spell, and it's tiny. Except when we got hit by the tornado, and then all of a sudden we were on TV all the time.
Oof, 7 hours.
Yeah, that's a bit of a drive.
you might have to.
So we're driving like 12 or something to Dayton, Ohio here pretty soon for a con.
Oh wow!
For 5-Star Comic-Con. It's going to be awesome, man. Danny J. Quick and Kyron Silva's coming in from the West Coast. Danny J's coming in from the East Coast. Bunch of Central folks are going to be there. I'm trying to get John Avina to come out because he's in Chicago, which is really close for him.
Ultra Comics, what part of Florida are you in? He says, wait until you make your way out to Florida.
Mm-hmm. No, I've been looking for a con in Florida to get into or something to make it a business expense to go all the way out there.
Yeah,
like that's what I want to do. I want to make a business expense out of it, so I can go see my Florida friends.
I've done that already. I did it last year with Three Rivers Comic Con in Pittsburgh, and we're going to do it again this year. And it just so happens to coincide with a family vacation. It's not, intentional at all.
Yeah. Wife and kids are coming along as staff, really, if you want to get serious.
I mean, hey, I put my son to work. He loves handing out business cards.
Mm-hmm.
I even got him a shirt because he's only 5. I got him a shirt that says, please buy my parents comics, and it has our comics at the bottom. He's supposed to walk around the con like that.
I have, for so long, I've wanted to, our daughter loves to cosplay, and Bellamy, the porcupine looking girl in Green Zone, is based on her, essentially. Like, it's her body type, it's my lived experience. But I really want to get her to cosplay as Bellamy and walk around the con saying, like, have you seen my partner handing out cards with Virgil on it? And like, if you take a picture with Virgil and post it on social media, you get like a discount at the booth, and then make a giant, like 8-foot tall Virgil to stand by the booth for people to take pictures with and stuff, to get people to come over and engage and post on social media and talk about it. But I haven't figured out a way yet to make the wig in a way that feels right to me yet. I've talked to several cosplayers trying to figure this out, and I have not quite hit upon what's going to work yet.
Ultra Comics is in Orlando. We'll be there for our family vacation in September, taking our son to Disney World.
You mean a business meeting with Ultra Comics? That's what I believe.
Yeah,
that's
right. Yeah. I know, right? Time for a meeting.
Grab a burger at McDonald's, and this trip's paid for, baby.
So here's a funny story about Orlando. This is when we still had our store. So I had a regular subscriber that he really wanted Star Wars Dr. Aphra #1, but for some reason it was sold out over here, and I couldn't get my hands on it. Well, we had, this is before our son and everything, before COVID. We had a trip there, and there's a comic shop there as you're about to go into one, and I just want to go in there, and they had it on the shelves, and I was like, I'm totally grabbing this for my subscriber, even though I'm just not going to make any money, but I'm going to make an impression. And he just thought that was the best thing in the world. Ordered for you from Florida. Bagged and boarded.
That's how you do it, man. And that's the thing. Making that impression is going to really last with that customer, and, make them feel appreciated and valued and whatnot. And that's some awesome customer service right there. That's why I try and go the extra mile on things like my shipping boxes and stuff, and make it a cool experience that people will remember.
Oh yeah. I love your boxes.
Yeah, it's a shame, man. I'm looking forward to Dayton. We did the con in Middletown, same promoter and everything, and we did the con in Middletown, and it was great. And we're really looking forward to Dayton because, bigger place, bigger space, bigger town. I'm hoping for a lot bigger turnout and everything, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, isn't that one in Florida called MegaCon? Doesn't Travis Gibb do that one?
I think so. Yeah, MegaCon is in Florida. I just saw some posts about it. Unfortunately, I've been wanting to get out to that one for a while, but I keep missing it. I keep missing like the deadline. I find out about it like right before it's fixing to launch or whatever, and I'm too late.
Yeah, that would definitely have to be a vacation. Because so far we haven't really like taken a road trip to go to anything that's that far away.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Jesse has done a couple in Oklahoma, but he's closer to that than I am. Um, so, oh look, Boots wants to say, "Oh, he fell off the shelf."
Hey.
um, the struggle obviously is the having a 5-year-old and work schedules and all that. Like, if it's a Saturday Sunday con, just even here in Texas, it's a little bit easier for us to try to attempt it. If it's a 3-day con,
Mm-hmm.
it really has to be close by, because that Friday is just hard to, like last year we had a big Texas Comic Con down here, and that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday con. And thankfully, I mean, I was able to juggle like going to get set up at the con, coming back, my son, dropping him off with my wife because she was finishing work, then going back to the con, and then it was just like, it was a lot of running around, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to avoid. But I mean, my house was within driving distance of this, Oh, he
Yeah,
says Ultra
that's
Comics says that, yeah, MegaCon second, yeah, SuperCon located in Orlando.
that is my problem with like one year after me and my wife got married, we did like 14 or 15 cons that year. And
Oh
she
wow.
pointed out something that I hadn't really taken into consideration. And that was like, I was thinking about like, oh, well, the con is 3 days or whatever. And I made X amount of money for that 3 days. So I made good money for that 3 days. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all well and good. But if I'm not covering, I wasn't considering the fact that being disabled, like I have to basically stop working like the day before and get everything packed up. That's not something I can just do in the evening after I get done. And there is no evening after I get done. I work until I go to sleep at night and I get up and I start over and I rinse, lather, repeat. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to stop to get everything packed up, get everything ready, get it in the van. And then because I'm disabled, we usually go like if it's a setup on Friday kind of con, we usually go up Thursday and either we make 2 days out of the trip or we go up early and we can rest and go get breakfast and then go set up at the con and do it. And then we do the same thing afterwards. So that's an extra day. And then we get home and then there's usually a day or two of recuperating. And by the time you get done with all of that, it's like it's a week of time that we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
now and not
Yep.
just uh not just a little thing of whatever I was saying.
No. I totally
Trying to do
understand.
two
Yeah.
different things at the same time here. But yeah.
No, man. That if we can afford to do it, yeah, that taking that extra day off to recover from the con itself is
Hmm.
nice. And that was even true back when we were younger, just going to cons for fun. Like, like I
Oh
used
yeah.
to try to take Monday off as well. I'm just
Hmm.
like, yeah, it's a long weekend. It's a fun weekend, but it's a long weekend.
Well, and that too, like it's not just me being off work for those days either. It's my wife being off work too. So
Mm-hmm.
that's two incomes down for that amount of time. But
Yeah.
you know, she's got paid time off and stuff that she can use, and corporate will pay her for being gone. My boss don't care. My boss, if I'm not done working, I don't get paid. So my boss is kind of a jerk in that regard.
Yeah, I've met him.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. He seems like a nice guy. Oh, look at my bald head and beard, and then all of a sudden he's a slave driver. And all of a sudden you're working until 1 a.m. in the morning and realize you ain't had a drink since 10 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
More than
Yeah,
once.
but
I'm
we're
telling you,
really
man. I could
scaling back on.
on the cons.
I'm gonna have to be texting you throughout the day. I was gonna say I'm gonna be texting you throughout the day. Did you drink something? Did you drink something?
I have alarms set going off all day long, reminding me to reminding me that you've only got so many hours, you've only got an hour left to spend on this page, and you need to stop and get up and stretch and
look,
go do the dishes and
look,
stop and eat lunch
look
and take the
thirsty.
trash out and go to the bathroom and
There's some water. Do you hear it? Get some water.
that's not work.
Yeah, we're just last year was rough with cons, and um, I've only been to a couple so far. They were smaller ones, and I'm afraid we might have a part two on our hands. We'll see how it goes in Houston. Well, and even here at Staple when we go next month. But man, it's just like the last con we had was packed, but you could just tell like people were really, really like, obviously. And the thing is, we know we know that we are at the lower end of the hierarchy of buying stuff, right? So
Mhm.
if we're not at a con where there's celebrities, thankfully that's already a top tier that's gone, right? And we're always fighting against established IPs, fan art. It doesn't matter how good our book sounds. So that story sounds really cool, but I just really don't have extra money to buy it right now. So,
But I could get another Deadpool plushie
that's always going to.
or another, knockoff Harley Quinn
I know.
keychain or body pillow or, whatever.
And then they walk past your booth slowly with it.
Yeah, with all their new swag they bought since they told you they didn't have any money. Which I mean, I get that's part of the stuff I've had to figure out, being autistic is like there's a certain amount of lying normal people are going to do regularly and to make everything flow easier. And while I'm not very good at it and I suck at Christmas cuz I can't lie to my wife. So I end up having to like buy everything last minute because if I have something that I bought her and I'm not telling her, I just got you this, then I'm a liar and I'm deceiving her, and that I can't, my brain can't handle that. So it's easier for me to not stress out.
It's like, don't ever take you to the
Or buy it really early and hope it comes in when she's not home and I can stick it in the closet. And then chances are really good I will forget about it. And I always go check the like top of the closet before holidays or birthdays just to see if I stuck anything up there that I don't remember. And this time I bought her a little gavel off of Timu, or no, it was off of TikTok, and it was a little Law and Order gavel. It goes dong jong when you hit it down. Just because we've been watching a bunch of Law and Order stuff, it's a stupid little thing, just a little goofy nod to what we've been watching on TV lately, and it ate me up inside that I had that thing for a week before I gave it to her.
I was gonna say Matthew Rodriguez is here talking about how there's lots of different cons kind of eating each other out of being necessary. That is kind of happening here a little bit, but it's a lot of smaller events. Some of them you really couldn't even call them cons. Honestly, they're more like events. But they are kind of like just There's too many, and it's one of those. I am shocked. It's funny, like a lot of these smaller events around here, they'll like a person from, maybe a horror movie from the 90s or something, and that'll be like their headline. So, yeah, but they seem to just build the event around them, and then they'll do it again, and they'll just get maybe one or two more Like I think the local mall is going to have like the voice actor for Andy, and then the girl for the one that took the toys at the end of part 3, Bonnie. They're having
Oh yeah, man, I
just
never
those
would
two
have
voice
got that.
actors. Yeah, but it's like my point is like those are just the two. There's just to build an event around them, and it's fine. I mean, it allows. The good thing about some of these events, especially the ones that we have here that are in malls, is that they're free. And so a lot of people who
Mhm.
wouldn't normally go to a Comic-Con can actually go to it. So there is pluses, obviously, and I think that's why they're able to keep going, because their overhead is lower, um, because they're really not having to pay for anything extra other than the talent, and then there are vendors setting up, so that's some money in their pockets for the tables.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But I'm sure,
it is
like, the amount of
interesting,
money it costs to
and I
get
think
in
that's why it is.
those low guys is easier than, getting in somebody big.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was gonna say that's why we like we were looking at doing more Kickstarters this year between me, my friends Jesse and Roy. They're all gonna have their own, so everybody's kind of running their own, so we're not like killing ourselves trying to run so many Kickstarters, because they're all subdivided among us, but still trying to space them out, and then time to get the previous one fulfilled, and that way I can actually activate the next pre-launch page, because Kickstarter, this would have been my 4th Kickstarter. So according to Kickstarter's last message to me, they were like, yeah, we're not going to let you have multiple pre-launch pages until at least 4 campaigns. And I'm like, okay, this is the 4th one. And then they're going to be like, well, you still haven't finished fulfilling it. So it's always going to be something with them.
Yeah, well, and it's probably good to have some safeguards in there, because I remember,
Hmm.
like, the last time I wanted to do it, I think they were telling me it needed to be like 6, but even that was iffy. Maybe, depends on the situation. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, and not a guaranteed, like, yeah, you hit this number and it's automatic. And
Yeah.
but then when there's some people out there running so many and not fulfilling them, or just going ahead and running the next one and not doing anything at all towards fulfilling, yeah, there are some bad actors out there. So I'm glad there's some oversight, but sometimes that's more than it needs to be too. And
Yeah. And the thing is, it feels like if you get a different rep from Kickstarter, they'll have a different
mhm,
concern or something, because it's like I had one that was like, well, it looks like your backers from the last campaign haven't really started saying that they've received their products. And I was thinking, you know what? Like there was a time before I was using Kickstarter to actually, fund our comics, when I was just still somebody buying stuff online. I don't think I ever went and marked anything as received, so I don't know
the
that that's a
I've only
norm,
done it like
you know.
twice and went through and marked a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. In fact, if they hadn't approved it after sometime after that, I was going to do an update and be like, can everybody please go mark your stuff is received, because Kickstarter is
Mhm.
asking for this. But thankfully they approved it right after, so I didn't have to do that. But it's just like, come on. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you
you're
don't
right.
you
I
don't
mean, I
I wouldn't have
myself,
even thought about that, but yeah, that's a weird thing to look for, but I guess that's a way for them to tell, not knowing
Mhm.
you.
Oh, well, I forgot to say, it's not like I just went in there blindly asking them. I said I have all the tracking numbers. Like I even went as far as took screenshots of the tracking numbers next to the word delivered. I was ready to send that to Kickstarter to say, look, once it's delivered, it's out of
Mhm.
our hands. But
Yeah, I can't do
after
anything
doing all
else
that
about
work,
it
they didn't
now.
even ask. It's on their front porch.
Like, I've
Keep
had stuff
the
get
porch
sent
pirate.
back because people, like, forgot to go check their mail at their apartment or whatever, and then the mailbox got full,
Oh.
and then they're like, yeah, this is an undeliverable address. And then the person hits me up like, yo, dude, where's my book? And I'm like, they sent it back and said it was undeliverable. I was just reaching out to you. And then they go and they're like, oh, yeah, it turns out I had like 6 months of mail in there. Try sending it again. Like, yeah, that doesn't cost me every time. This is like a 90s text, dude. This costs money, man.
Oh my
just
god!
send these things out for free.
Dude, you're probably gonna make fun of me, but I was still I still had the plan all the way up until it was 2009, 10, around that time, to where I was telling friends, don't text me because it costs me. Like, I had just gotten divorced. I was trying to cut corners everywhere I could, and it was like, like don't call me until after 9 o'clock. Remember that thing? Like,
oh yeah,
you talk after 9 and it was free.
So many times I'm sitting there like out on my front driveway in the middle of the night, neighbors looking at me through the window and stuff, talking to my dad or whatever, because it was suddenly free or cheaper to call him and whatnot. Yeah, I remember the days well. The before times.
Heck, my parents in the 90s, I remember they had a bag phone like in the car.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that was a whole nother thing, because like my buddy's dad, if you've listened to me for any amount of time, probably you hear me from time to time telling stories about when I lived on a lake in Louisiana with a bunch of folks that took me in. And that was my buddy Steven and his family. And his dad had a bag phone for work. He was an electrician, had to drive like hour and a half from their house out in the sticks to work every day. So he had a bag phone, A, so they could get a hold of him all the time because he was always on call, and B, so he had some way to get in touch if something happened in the middle of nowhere in his old truck, driving along and it dies or something. He's got a way to get in contact with people. And his brother broke up with his girlfriend, real toxic lady, baby mama. And to get back at her brother, she started calling Jack's bag phone all the time. And she would hang up, but just making the call to the phone itself charged him like $5 every time. So she'd just do it over and over and over again all day because she was mad, and she ran up like $1,000 in charges just calling his phone and hanging up on it. She's like, yeah, hang up. She knew dang well what she was doing.
Hey, quick, why don't we share your Kickstarter? I think we've got a decent amount of people watching, and we're about 4 minutes in. So
share the old Kickstarter. Look at old Joe over here thinking ahead. Thinking like a businessman. Let's pull this over here and see what we can do. We'll change the screen. There we go. This old Kickstarter for Green Zone Life in the Blocks. This is their first shift trade paperback. This is the collected first 4 issues with the handbook. It's got like 6, probably over 6 when I get done, because there's a couple pages I really want to do just for fun. Of deleted scenes that I had to cut out originally to make the page count to keep it to a floppy. It's also got like 30 pages of short stories that I've added that have been published in other places that very few people have seen, that kind of flesh out the world more, and we find out more about what other people are doing in this world and what's going on. One of them follows an old, bitter superhero that's way past his prime, drinking himself to sleep in a bar every night. But it fleshes out more of the world. And then there's the character files in the handbook, and we're adding on to that. Everybody of significance in the book is getting a character file, including the several people that have joined at the Be in the Book tier or used it as an add-on and are going to be drawn into the book. Their characters get a handbook entry too. And so a lot of weird characters that have been in the background up until now that were being the book options are going to get handbook pages. So when it's all said and done, it's probably going to be closer to like 180 pages. But it follows a group of genomes, bunch of mutants on their first shift on the police force in a world where it's illegal to be born a mutant. So if you can make it 5 years on the force and prove that you're not a threat to humanity, you can get your green card, move out of the slums of the green zone, and make a better life for yourself. It's sort of like District 9 meets X-Men by way of Training Day, sort of, if you want to look at it that way. We've unlocked some stretch goals already. We unlocked the 3-inch Virgil sticker as a milestone when we hit 50 backers. We just unlocked the Green Zone metal bookmark with the kind of Marvel corner box heads vibe going on. I really like those old school corner boxes, and I've started putting them on my books. And I like sticking the heads of the characters that are in the book on there. And so this is a bookmark with the main characters on there. We are getting really close to unlocking the next milestone, which will be, let me drop down to it, which will be a sticker of Bellamy. And the next stretch goal that we're getting really close to is unlocking the Cruiser Mini, which goes along with the 33 millimeter scale miniatures that come with certain tiers. You can get them as STL files on the digital deluxe tier. So you can get these digital STL files and print them on your home printer if you have a printer at home like Esteban does at Ultra Comics, or you can take them to the local library and get them printed, or your local makerspace, or if you have a buddy with one, you can print up a giant life-size Virgil and put it in the corner of your room if you want to. I would love to see that. It costs a lot of filament, but I want to see it when it's done. But the next stretch goal is going to be releasing their police cruiser, which is a very specific, overbuilt, tank-looking type vehicle. Because when you're living in a world where the next person you pull over might be able to shoot fireballs out of their eyelids or lightning out of their toenails, you need to be prepared for anything. So everything is really overbuilt in the green zone. And so there's that. There's the print edition. There's the T-shirts, and we get to pick between 2 different designs because I let everybody vote on the design, and one was a clear winner when I set up the campaign, and then took the vote by storm after I built the campaign. So instead of redoing everything, I made it an option. Now you get to pick which design you want in the final credits. I also offered a retail bundle that I'm really proud of, that you get 5 signed copies of the book. You get 2 posters to hang in the store or the windows or whatever, and it's $80 with shipping. So that is a really awesome deal. You can sell these like you were a comic book shop owner. Like that gives you room when it has a $30 cover price to be able to turn around and sell these and make a profit on it. Where the problem a lot of indie guys fall into is if I've priced my floppy at $20 or $30 or whatever, you can't sell a bundle with 10 of those at $20 a piece to a comic book store and expect them to buy that and be able to resell it. That doesn't make any sense. And so I wanted to make it affordable, make it where you can make a profit on it, or you ain't got to prove you're a comic book shop. If you just want to buy them and give them out as Christmas presents, hey, it's all yours, baby. Buy them up.
You heard it
what's
here.
The worst that can happen? I lose a little bit of profit and I gain like 4 extra fans. Oh no, what will I do with 4 new fans? They're going to come back for more because it's an awesome story. That would be horrible.
Yeah. We've done that before, but I wasn't following indie comics back then. It was indie board top creators. So we did get several retailer tiers to keep in our store, and I remember they sold pretty well. Most people there was a lot of people that would look for unique stuff like that they couldn't get anywhere else.
Oh yeah, that's what I go into a store looking for, which is honestly why, and I feel bad saying it, but that's why I look for comics more at cons now than I do at local comic shops, because a lot of the local comic shops are, I mean, they're just trying to stay above board, and they're selling the easy stuff to sell. They're bringing in, the Spider-Man and the Batman and the Harley Quinn booby covers and stuff, to get people in and buy them and unload them quickly. They're not filling up with weird, obscure indie titles or zines or, the obscure stuff that I really enjoy and like. There's lots of Spider-Man stories, and some of them look really, really cool, but you're not going to get Hot Shot just anywhere, or you're not going to get 5-star just anywhere. That's a unique tale all its own, and I like reading those and checking them out. Sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss, sometimes like frickin' Fred Schwartz did yesterday. He just drops all 3 issues of Fisticuffs in my inbox because we're working on this project, and we were talking about something else, and he mentioned maybe I should start pitching Fisticuffs this way. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, that's part of the story. I didn't realize that. And I was like, that honestly would have made me back, where it looks like a beautiful book. The artwork's amazing, and the videos and stuff and the Kickstarters have always been great, and we're on a lot of shows together, and I really like Fred, but like, you got a lot of friends that make indie comics. You can't back everything. And so when it came down to which one to pick, it just, for whatever reason, it didn't strike me. But when he gave me that little twist on it that made it much more personal to me, I was like, oh, I want to read that. And he sent it to me. And now I'm really mad at Fred because he doesn't have issues like 4 through 10 finished for me to read right now. That was uncool to get me hooked like a dealer. And then just be like, oh, no, you got to wait. You got to Jones for a couple months, man. Not cool, man. Not cool. Really good story. Way so far from what I thought, and absolutely what I thought at the same time. Like, it hits all the things that I thought it was going to hit, but it goes in such a weird direction with it. And like, I was viscerally upset in points of it. Like, some things I recognized way too much, and other things like, it takes place in a lot of it takes place in AA meetings, and a lot of the emotional stuff that went on there hurt because I really recognize some of that stuff from my own experience. And then other things, like, when things start to go wrong in dude's life, like at one point you really don't know if his best friend like called the cops on him or not. And, like, is he going to help him, or is he going to turn him in and save his own hide? And like, it's so good and juicy and scary. And I was like sweating, and I'm getting riled up right now just talking about it. But anyway, but his book isn't live right now, and mine is. So go to MrFish.com.
Yeah.
Now that I went on a tangent talking about his book, and
13 more people to get 100 backers.
Yeah, there's just it's not that far right now. We got the deluxe edition that comes with the actual physical prints of the minis and the t-shirt and a custom sketch card or whatever you want within reason. I don't draw not safe for work stuff, but I'll go as far as Alice in her little crop top. I don't go for
her impossible crop top.
Yes, her physics defying crop top. That's the one. Yes. That's the one that goes just far enough to make the censors mad, but not to make them pull it. Yeah, that's it.
I want you to sell that in the next Alice Kickstarter.
Do you like impossible physics? Or fabrics that don't obey the laws of physics, your bag? Well, check out Alice Lost in Wonderland. You'll see a lot, but not what you think you're going to see.
But not enough. You ain't seen stuff stay on like this since Indiana Jones's hat.
Yeah. Oh, man. But anyway, the Kickstarter's live. It's got, I don't even know how many more days. It ends on the 11th. And you can go to MrFish, GOMRFISH.com, and go check it out. We are 13 backers away from hitting the next stretch goal, and everybody gets a free sticker, another free sticker for that. If 13 people just went and put $1 on it, then boom, everybody gets a free sticker, and you got to be a blessing to your brothers and sisters in the Kickstarter community. So that would be cool. But and we are under $200 away from the next stretch goal, which we're probably going to hit that before it's over. But we got 7 days to go. So go check it out at gomrfish.com.
Yeah, all those last 48, what the 48 hours left buyers, that's me. I always do that.
Yeah, I cannot do that. I will straight forget and miss it. I I feel bad if I don't get in like on the first day. I'm like, oh man, I nearly missed this. I'm so sorry. I was apologizing to Sarah because I came in on her campaign like halfway through and I felt like I nearly missed it. Because man, ADD, I will flat lose track of the days and the months, and it is it has happened more than once that my wife will be like, hey, you need to be sure to get the oil change today. And I'm like, yeah, as soon as I get done with this page, I'm going to go do that. And she's like, did you get the
10
oil
hours
change?
later.
And I'm like, babe, as soon as I get done with this page, and she's standing there with dinner in her hand, and it's dark out, and it's been 10 hours, and she's home from work, and she's like, the oil change place is closed now. And I was like, that's why I got to pee so bad. I've been sitting here all day and haven't got up.
It's like, have you ever seen that joke in The Simpsons where they insult Homer and it goes into his brain? He's like, wait, what do I say? I don't know what to say. And then he goes, well, what about? And it pans back out and it's dark and everybody's gone.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I have my moments too. I forget what my wife says because she's a teacher, so she tells me I'm undiagnosed one of the two. I don't remember which one, but let me give you an example of what happens because my son, thankfully, has the awareness that I don't, and he's 5 years old. But I will get him in his car seat, and I can't pull the seatbelt across him because it's just an awkward angle. So I'll tell him to hold it. I'll walk around the car. From the time that I walk around the car, if I think, oh, I got to go lock the front door. Oh, wait, I got to check the GPS, make sure there's not traffic. And then I sit in the front, and all of a sudden he goes, Dad, my seatbelt. And I'm like, oh, crap. I forgot to open the other passenger door, reach across, grab your seatbelt, snap it in place.
My little ADD kids would have dropped that seatbelt 10 minutes ago and forgot all about it. Oh, that was the blind leading the blind. I'm here to tell you.
Oh, I was going to say, you mentioned earlier about having extra pages, deleted scenes and whatnot. I mean, that's cool that you, excuse me, that you can have that because, like, as the writer, obviously every page that I decide on, I pay for, so I can't have deleted stuff. Oh my God, Puss in Boots, stay up there. And so, for example, we've actually come up with this pretty cool little system with our third book coming out now, to where it started with Malia 0, and it started out of necessity because that was it wasn't our first book. Our first one was How to Hunt a Hero, but even that one we only did 8 pages, and the Malia we only did 8 pages, and it was the origins for both. And we just added 4 extra pages, so we made these little 12-page books that we sell for like $5 at the con. And then now that each book has its issue 1, we'll do some sort of bundle deal, knock a couple of dollars off. So that's been a nice little strategy because I present it to them as like, okay, you were talking about how to pitch and whatnot. It's like I've gotten down to where I just point to each one and say the genre. I'm like, we got superhero stuff, tabletop games, and my new book is anime. And then we have sample books out and I let them pick up and start reading, and whatever they pick up, that's where I start the actual pitch. And then
I like
so
that
yeah, so that system has worked out really well. Well, I say all that to say that, because those initial books are smaller, well, issues, so like Malia, because that's the one that, I pay an artist to do, it's only 24 pages for issue 1. But like Roy, who draws How to Hunt a Hero, he basically just keeps going. So he was able to make issue 1 32 pages. And so anyway, that when I was working on Malia 2, which the artist is working on right now, I was trying my hardest to keep it to 24, but I just couldn't. I stopped at like 26, and of course we know that's not the way the printer works. So technically that's 28 pages, and I had, and on top of that, I couldn't figure out what to cut out. and then I had two different endings. They weren't dramatically different. They were just basically two different ways to look at it. And Sarah was like, "Well, I like both of those. You can kind of just do it this way, and they just kind of feed into each other." And so we ended up at 28 pages. And I was just like, well, I think it's 27 because I think the 28th page is just the page that advertises the variant covers. But still, um, my point is that like, yeah, anytime I'm like really trying to keep in the page count, but then like I said, like my friend Roy, when I think we used to be at like 28 pages for How to Hunt a Hero, and he wanted to just add a couple of pages, and I'm like, no, you realize every time you add a couple of pages, it's really 4 pages, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to go in multiples of 4. So he made it's so funny because he did what I know I've seen done like in the old Image comics and stuff, especially when they did graphic novels and stuff. I remember this in Gen 13. I guess because of the way the page flip was, they just needed that one extra panel. And I'll never forget, it was like I was reading the trade and I was very familiar with that book when it was a floppy because I loved it. And I turned the page and it's literally just the characters standing in what's essentially a pinup, but it's happening in the same scene that was in the previous page.
So it's just a
And
filler
I'm like,
pinup
what is
to get it
this? Where,
where
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but they are technically in the scene, but
Mhm.
just as pinup. And I was just like, what a interesting way to add more page or to put the pages on the side that you want is what I guess it really comes down to. Um,
That's the
so
problem that
you know,
I've
Roy.
actually ran into putting the book together, because it's not just the even numbered pages that are inside the book. There's covers, there's variant covers, there's all that stuff that goes into it. And like what I'm doing is recutting it into like a director's cut. So it's one big long story, and I'm re-editing it in chronological order where like it kind of bounces around a little bit in the first two issues. Um, so that you get a taste of the beginning of their day again in the second issue and know what's going on. And
Mhm.
I'm putting all that in chronological order and mixing things around. So it's just the story. But now, like, that messes with my page turns that were all very neatly figured out for the
Mhm.
way those books were laid out originally. And now, when you start moving those pages around, page turns don't hit exactly the way they used to. So, like, you were talking about extra pages, like, they're not pages I had laying around. They're pages that I had to like cut from the script to make things work out right. And now I'm
Mhm.
redrawing them and making them from scratch to put them in there. But also, like one scene, I'm adding a 2-page scene in one place just so the double page spread ends at the right place over here and like hits right where it needs to. So I'm adding in, a page here and a page there and a page here so that everything hits right. And then trying to figure out how do I get the piece of story that I wanted to put in the right place so that it'll flow in the story right and make sense right, and get these pages to come out so that when you turn the page you get the reveal that I want. Is That's a whole nother thing, man. That's a whole
Yeah.
other skill set to pay somebody for right there.
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like Jabba meeting Han Solo all of a sudden.
Yeah. It's not the where do we get from here to there? Yeah.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's crazy that we've been doing this for 5 years, but there was definitely a couple of big lulls in those 5 years. There's a couple of points, especially
Mhm.
between the first comic and the second comic. Um, but um, but obviously, it's been super fun to meet people like you, and I always tell you this is Chuck Pino's fault, because he's the one that got me into this, and then he ran away to Canada.
I'm telling
Um,
you, man. He felt so guilty. Had to take
yeah,
off.
literally left the country. So.
I subjected somebody else to fish. Oh no! After sharing a room with the man, I can't do that to anybody else. I'm leaving before I strike again.
but uh, but yeah, like like even in this extra time, just uh, Carla, who does the Malia book, she just sent me a round of the first character designs, because I do basically what I did there with you, where I show all those different references and stuff.
Hmm.
I pretty much do that for the whole comic, and she says it really helps her because she's not guessing, what I want.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, so far, thankfully, with whatever artists I've worked with, like, they want the references. I have come across, I've seen some artists, they're like, yeah, just let me do my thing, and of course there's certain meeting in the middle, right? I think we talked about that when you did our first variant cover for us. I let you put your ideas in there, and it came out really good, and that's part of it too, is the collaboration.
Hmm.
uh Besides,
Yeah.
I tried the whip on you. It didn't work. You still did what you wanted to do anyways.
That's actually a pet peeve of mine is, and I've probably told you, is like how often somebody would like send me reference photos of their character and they'd be like, okay, this is Malia, except she doesn't have blonde hair like in this picture, and she can't fly like in this picture, and she's not 28 with triple D knockers like she is in this picture, but those artists just do what they want. And
Uh-huh.
that drove me up the wall because especially when I was just getting started and I was doing stuff for dirt cheap prices and everybody was coming to me looking for dirt cheap art. They had only ever worked with people that were charging like $20 for, you know, a drawing of their character or whatever before. Like they got a whole lot of like, yeah, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and you get what you get, and you don't pitch a fit. And that drove me up the wall that these guys
Mhm,
had to make all these excuses for drawings of their characters, and this is all they have to promote their characters with, is these
mhm,
drawings that these guys did for them, and they're not even right. They have to make excuses the whole
mhm,
time. And I
mhm,
I made a promise to myself after that that I was gonna do my best. I've probably, there's probably somebody that left, you know, unhappy at some point, I guess. I'm just because statistically it has to have happened, or somebody
mhm.
was too afraid to say something. Like I've had several people be like, "Well, I didn't want to say anything." I'm like, "Dude, this is you're paying for this. If you're not happy, like let me know so I can fix it." I don't want to spend the rest of my life working on it, but like, if I did something wrong, man, let me know. I want my clients to be happy. And
Mhm.
and especially like if this is your first drawing of Malia that's going to show every other artist how to draw her, I want it to look the way you want it to look. And so, if I missed the mark on something, let me know.
Mhm. Yeah, and what's interesting too is, I don't know if you remember me telling you, but we actually had another artist on Malia before this, and uh, the guy had some personal stuff happen in his life, and basically, we were already upwards of a year in, and we only had a few pages of Malia done, and then that's when I had to switch to Carla, and so essentially we had to break ties with the other person. It was amicable, thankfully, and I did get, a portion of it refunded, and I still have some of that work. I got to use some of it on the very first Kickstarter we did, and then I'll probably put it in a Malia hardcover, as extra features.
Hmm.
But it did have a lot of stuff done to where Carla was able to look at his stuff and basically just put it in her style. So it's weird. It's like I've been trying to think of a movie that had something like that happen. I mean, I know we've all heard the stories like of Star Wars Rogue One had a lot of stuff like that, but they don't seem to want to release the original version. But I know that there's some movies that it was like completely refilmed, in different scenes, and that's kind of the way
Oh
it
yeah,
feels
or
like with
like, taking out what was his name, Eric Stoltz or whatever for Marty McFly for
Oh, duh, yes, yes. No, that's a
Michael
perfect.
J. Fox and
Yeah. No, that's perfect. That's a perfect example. Why didn't I think of that? But yeah, that is a great example because yeah, you're talking about the exact same story. It's just different actor in that case, and in this case it's a different artist. And it's just so funny when if you were to hold their their works next to each other, they're obviously wildly different styles, but it's funny how it's maybe, I guess another equivalent would be like if you had two different animation studios animate the same cartoon, maybe, or something.
Yeah.
And
Like
so
if
it's
two
the
different
same.
places made the He-Man cartoon, they would look different,
Yeah,
but they'd have a lot of similarities. And
yeah, yeah. Because I know, like, for example, Simpsons. They always talked about how the early episodes, since they were having them animated overseas, they couldn't get the animators to get away from the classic rubbery look, like of Looney Tunes and stuff. And
mhm.
so they had to keep telling them to redo it. And I don't even think they showed it. In fact, I remember listening to the commentary on that, and they were like, one of the creators was so upset. It wasn't Matt Groening; it was one of the other guys. That he literally walked out of the room when he saw the rubbery animation. And I was like, yeah, I can see why. That's not. I mean, The Simpsons as we know it now. It's definitely not The Simpsons.
Mhm. And what's funny to me is when you see, like, them going through, like, Matt's Bible on how to draw The Simpsons and stuff, and we don't do this, and we don't do this, and you never do this. But if you go back and look at, like, the first episodes or the Tracy Ullman episodes, like, he
Oh
did that all
God,
the time. But that's
yeah,
also probably where he realized that looks really bad, and I don't wanna do that anymore.
dude, the Tracy Ullman shorts are so bad.
Oh, they're so rough, and they don't really have the characters figured out yet, and, it's such a weird thing to have been
And
there when it first started, and it's like, yeah,
mhm.
it's just this weird little indie cartoon that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's funny, and, a little girl gets electrified, chasing a butterfly or whatever, and, it's just this weird thing on the Tracy Ullman Show. Oh my god, they gave that a whole show. I can't wait to see how stupid it gets, and then the whole world takes off with it, and
Mhm.
now you're like 3 or 4 generations in of writers that have, like, grown up. The Simpsons have always been there and been this established thing that they're writing for, and not this weird thing a bunch of, talented young writers are writing for and coming up with, and it's crazy.
And I will say, I don't want to make it sound like I'm knocking like early animation attempts at all, because I'm one of those that this will show both our ages. You remember MTV's Liquid Television?
Oh, man, I wanted to
Yeah.
work on that so
See,
bad.
yeah, see, but I love that stuff. And like, okay, so like for example, Beavis and Butthead, I love those early episodes, but Mike Judge hates them. In fact, he doesn't even want them on DVD or anything. And I'm like, okay, those were rough, but I love those early ones. Same thing with South Park. The South Park guys hate those early episodes, and I love them, even though it's rough animation, but they're so funny to me still. So again, it's not the animation itself, I guess. It's just the whole thing. It just doesn't translate to it's such an experimental thing, I guess, overall, when you look at the Tracy Ullman shorts. And it's just like, how did we get from there to where we are now? Like, you would
Mhm.
even
And things
believe it.
evolve. Like, the plans I had for the Alice Lost in Wonderland series are so different than where it is now, and I've been working on this story for 30 years, but just the extra seasonings that TS brought into it have made
Mhm.
it such a richer, tapestry than it was before, and he really helped me trim off some dead threads in that tapestry and weave some things back around so that they more beautifully augment each other and accent each other, and I love what he's brought to it. And like Green Zone was one story when I started, but like I've added characters and characters have grown and expanded, and just to hit the thing for a second, let me switch this. Um let me try and do that again. Let me try it one more time and see if I can. It
Kick
will
it,
not let me do that. Okay, hold on a
kick it.
second. Let's change it. I can do it this way. Let's see. There we go. But you can't see him now. All right.
Mhm.
We're gonna have to do that. Sergeant Kim over here and Danny's dad. I knew I was going to put his wife in the book, and I knew she was, she was going to have a role, and she had a role to play, and she had things that she needed to reveal in the story, and I needed to show some extra depth. And just as soon as you start thinking that Sergeant Kim cares way too much about Waters over here to just be somebody that he works with, then all of a sudden his wife shows up and he starts acting a little bit nervous, and you realize that he's got this sweet, kind, goofy wife and stuff, but he also like really connects with this lady at work. But like, mom had a role to play, but I knew there was this scene where she was going to meet Virgil for the first time when they're in the hospital in issue 4, and I was trying to think, like, how would this little Korean woman react to this giant 8-foot tall lizard monster? And I was thinking about it, and I'm on the SketchUp show with Mog and Mel a lot, and like, Mog moved over here from Korea when she was a kid, so her mom is actually very much like, essentially, Danny's mom, like, same kind of situation. And she moved here as an older adult, and and has gotten accustomed to what's going on. And I was like, what would your mom do in that situation? If she was facing this big giant monster that was all burned up, that just saved your husband and your son's life, like, what would she do? Would she scream in terror? Would she shake his hand? What would she do? And when she told me what her mom would do, that completely changed everything for the last half of the book. And I had to add pages in, because I realized, okay, wait a minute. If his mom is going to have that reaction first off, then that fundamentally like changes and accentuates a lot of the things I already knew about her character. Now her character is a lot further in that direction, a lot more prominently. And that would mean that she does this, this, and this. And that would mean that she treats her husband and her son this particular way. And that would mean she treats all people she comes across this way. And if she does that, then that means she's going to do this. And if she does that, then that means she's probably done this before. And then it became such a huge thing that I gave Mog, like, special creative assistant credit or something in the book, because if she had not given me that insight, his mom would not have become the beautiful, weird, complex character that she was, and would have just stayed a joke about, this goofy, skinny lady that cooks really badly, but nobody has the heart to tell her that it stinks. So she just keeps making really bad food. And in the issue 4, she makes Danny dumplings in the break room, and her husband's like, how'd you find the break rooms? Like, well, the nurses showed me. He's like, did they really show you? Okay, well, I followed one of them, but they had everything I needed in the break room. I crushed up some saltines and some non-dairy creamer to make the dough. And Danny's like, does this smell like mint? Like, well, they didn't have any fresh herbs, but they had toothpaste. And she just mixed all this stuff together that she finds in the break room to make him dumplings. And he doesn't have the heart to tell her it's bad. And she just thinks that she is a brilliant chef that can make magic out of anything, because nobody will tell her that her cooking stinks. But she's so much more than just a bit now. She's such a rich, beautiful, complicated character. I love it. And you can go to GoMrFish.com and check it out now. You can see backer number 88 if you want to. If you really want to.
If you want to.
All right, let's see. Whoops, I'm on the wrong screen. Okay, here we go. That's the problem with having so many screens. You forget which one you clicked on sometimes. All right. Yeah. You can't see very well because I have embiggened the wrong thing. This over here. And now you can see a little bit better. Where wrong screen again. Okay, here we go. All right. We've got Staplesaurus Rex here getting blasted with the rockets from her, from the How to Hunt a Hero series. I think I could really use a better reference on her belt. The images I've got are kind of blurry. Is it a particular?
Oh, really?
It seems like it's a very particular shape. but like her legs kind of over it in one, and the other one is got it more exposed, but it's so blurry I can't tell what it is by the time it comes across and gets
Oh,
compressed through Messenger and
oh,
everything.
I'm sorry. I thought I had put it in a. Oh no, no! I sent it to you in the email. That should be a clearer one. You didn't get it from
Oh,
the
is it in the
email?
email? Okay, let me look. Let me look up my email then.
Because
Because
if
that was
not,
off of
I know.
Messenger. You
Because
probably
here's
did.
also go to the. You can also go to the website. Roy did another year where her belt is clearly visible.
Okay. Let me pull that up. And it is, what is the website? So everybody can type it in.
Childsplaycomics.com.
And just for the record, that's like comics spelled correctly, right? Or it doesn't have like a X and a Z in it or anything.
No, you might have to do the www.
I forgot to put the .com. I had everything
Okay.
but the .com. I had the dot.
So
Okay. All right, I see
if
it
you
there.
scroll if you scroll down, it's cover D by Roy. It shows all these hands reaching out at her,
Mm-hmm.
but you can clearly see her belt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got it now.
And I mean, Roy, it was
All right.
funny. We were just talking about this weekend at the con. Roy admits that her costume does keep changing just as he draws her.
Oh,
So
it's hard for things not to. Like, I'm really bad about designing things on the page, and I wish I didn't do that so much for my own stuff. I try now. I try to put effort into designing things before I get onto the page, but and I worked really hard with the Mighty Call. Like, I had the idea for him, sketched it out, and then okay, wait a minute. Now she doesn't have the little skirt between her legs on that image, but she does on another image. So is it no
yeah,
skirt between the legs or skirt
yeah,
between the
no.
legs? No. Okay. All
Well,
right.
like
And
I
I will.
said, he changes it. So
It
yeah, because
it
on this
happens.
one, on this one, it looks like he put the skirt on each hip,
Mm-hmm.
but then cover A has it there, and then pretty sure 0 has it. Oh, I
Has
can't
one
tell on
between her
0 because
legs.
the way he has her leg. Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up so I can look at it here. Yeah, because when I look at cover A, I feel like it's there.
Do you mind if I put it
Yeah,
in?
on cover A, I can.
Okay, because I honestly think it looks
No,
better.
that's fine. I can clearly see it. Yeah, no,
I think
I clearly see it on A. I see the piece going down in the front, and then the 2 hip ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the one I was looking at as a reference when I was doing it. But I get it. Like, things change and tweak as you're going, and especially when it's a complex suit, it's it's hard for things not to change. And then if you have more than one artist take a crack at it, then it wants to change even more. And because
we were talking about it at the con this weekend, because he was having somebody else do a pinup of her, and they had some questions about the design.
Yeah. And that's something that's been really interesting for me, because now I've been doing this long enough that I've gotten to see like characters that I drew for somebody for the first time ever get reinterpreted by other artists in pinups, and then end up like going into print into books that other artists are interpreting, and seeing little doodads that I just kind of scribbled in for, for just a little extra detail. Watch those little things, those little scribbles grow and then become things and become like actual important pieces in the costume. And now that's a button on their belt that they hit to like fire their anti-gravity boosters or whatever. And it's just really cool to see that stuff change. Ultra Comic says that's why he always draws his character as symmetrically as possible as a reference. And which is why my stuff doesn't, because this is the reference I drew of Virgil. This is one of the first times I drew him successfully all the way. And you can see how wildly different his size of his hands are. I didn't notice that for a year. I did not realize how different his hands were in that image, one from the other. It wasn't really until it wasn't until my wife sent that to Carl Stossel to do a 3D model of him that she gave me for Christmas, and she sent him the references, and she's like, "Oh, I need to check on this," because like he's like, "Are the hands really supposed to be different?" And I was like, "Oh crap, I didn't notice."
Yeah, you took a drink.
Okay. So what are we thinking about it so far? You liking where it's at right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think everybody's coming out pretty good. Sorry, I'm on a laptop, that's why I gotta lean in here.
Pretty good. Except maybe let me check his. I know he's got a symbol in there that I didn't draw. Where is he?
Well, I was also going to tell you, you did a cover for Jesse with that one too. So I don't know. I don't know if looking at your old image will on that.
I guarantee you, I probably saved that. I probably made that logo and saved it, but that would have been one of the things that I lost in my computer crash, because I didn't lose. Okay. Well, so far I found one client file, Matthew, that was in here earlier, was asking me about something for the Tulip City Con that I did last year, and I cannot find hide nor hair of that. I can't find the JPEGs I sent him. I can't find the original file. I can't find anything on 3 computers and 3 external hard drives and all of my cloud stuff. I can't find anything anywhere about that file. I remember doing it once he showed me it, but I don't have the original file to change it, to redo it for now. But that's the first client file I found that I lost. But I have lost a lot of assets that I built, like stuff that I had saved in Clip Studio, so that, like, you know, if I needed bullet bandoliers, or if I needed, I don't know, if I needed to stick some army soldiers in the background, I, you know, could pull out these guys to fill in an army in the background real quick or something. Mm-hmm. I lost all of that stuff.
Thank you for pledging, Brian.
Awesome. Oh, wait a minute. It's over here. I forgot. Let's see.
Refresh. You gotta refresh.
Woohoo! 88. We are 12 backers away, baby. 12 backers away from releasing the belt. Which I'm.
This sucker
which I want to do because I want to have backers. And they're going to come in a last minute, I guarantee you. Where? Oh, I don't have them here.
Oh yeah. Oh, do you need Malia's dice for her shirt? I know I've sent it to you in the past, but
that would be handy because I
just leave a sport because it's on my other computer. Otherwise, I could send it to you live, but I can do it as soon as we get off.
I'm gonna look real quick. If I got it last year, I'm probably got it here. Maybe. There's a lot of names on this list of clients. It seemed like a good idea in the beginning to save everything by year so I could keep up with it, which is kind of nice in some ways. I can look back and see everything I did that year, But then, like when it comes to a client that I work with all the time, like say you or Roy Johnson or Eric Bennett or something like that, I'm like, you have any idea what year that is that I did that? Because that's what I have to look for to find it.
Oh, here you go. I'm about to send it back to you. I found it. Let's see here. Mr. Comics.
LM.
It's coming. It's going to your att.net one.
All right, let's go look at the email.
See, my old phone that charged me per text couldn't do that.
I'll show you, flip phone.
Oh, Jesse used to make so much fun of me because they would, they already had their smartphones. They had like early generation smartphones, and I still had the one that you open it up and had the little tiny keyboard. And so they're texting on their smartphones, and I'm texting on mine, and on purpose are like, "What is
I like that little
noise?"
keyboard.
Like, yeah.
I kept that little keyboard for as long as I could keep it, because especially with my big fingers and being ticky and twitchy, having actual physical buttons to hit was a huge benefit for me. I miss it. Portez-vous, s'il vous plaît. Donde está el download files?
There.
Por favor.
I was gonna say, hey, I made a sale at the con this past weekend knowing Spanish, because it was a little girl who had bought Malia 0 and 1, but I didn't have 2 yet. But I had a sign that basically said, we're working on 2, and because there was kids last year that were looking for Malia, and I was like, "We'll mail it to you in the summer; it'll be ready." And the little girl was like trying to explain it to her parents, and I was like, "Do you want me to explain it to them in Spanish?" And she was like, "Sure." And so I was there trying my best to remember vocabulary for the word mail, for the word envelope. Had him email me his address, so that was one of the things that I was happy about, because the previous year, because this was the 3rd year we've done this. It's a con inside of a high school, so there was some kids that picked up Malia 3 years ago, and then last year they were looking for issue 1, and I had it, but this year unfortunately issue 2 wasn't ready, and it's a high school, so I'm like, as long as you guys are not on your way out, hopefully I can still catch you next year, as long as you're not seniors. So
that's the thing I miss about like not having a lot of kid-friendly stuff in my catalog. And honestly, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have said like, "Oh yeah, Green Zone is kid-friendly. Like, it's like, junior high or so on up." I did not consider how much blood there is in it, with Virgil's power being that he gets scared and shoot blood out of his eyes. I didn't think about that, and that gives it a mature 17 and up rating when you look at the actual stats on ratings. And I was like, oh man, I would have thought for sure. And surprise, surprise, the Mighty Caw didn't pass that test. So I know that catches a lot of y'all off guard. A bloody bird barbarian killing his way across the galaxy doesn't cut the mustard for child-friendly entertainment. It did when we were kids. No. Not today's liberal parenting. They don't want their kids exposed to murder and bloodshed. He didn't make the cut either. So it really left me with nothing other than T-Man and Hyperstrike. And the thing is, it's a beautiful book, but it's really aimed at kids with Tourette's. I sell a lot of it at cons to people that don't have Tourette's or any relation to Tourette's, but which really surprises me. Sometimes I wonder if they think it's like joking about Tourette's, but but I sell a lot of it at cons. But it's not. I never aimed it to be a explaino book about this is what Tourette's is. Don't bully your friends at school because they have it. It is aimed at the kids with Tourette's, encouraging them to stand up for themselves and be brave and don't let the world steal your light. And, the world's going to make fun of you, but also you're awesome. And, this is going to make you really cool at a whole lot of things. And, don't let them take that from you. And so I wasn't really thinking about anybody else in that. And I kind of wish I had made it a little bit more of an explaino book, but then that would have changed what it is. And I really like what it is. So
Yeah.
it's a hard line to walk, but that's a long way of saying I am working on getting some more child friendly stuff because I want to have stuff at my booth that kids can get at cons and really enjoy their first experience at the show and know that there's something they can afford to get and something that's fun that they'll enjoy and not like, well, I spent my money on it, but it's kind of weird and dumb. I want to make something that is fun and exciting that they're going to enjoy, but also, also sell. But
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like Malia does pretty well with the kids, and even like these last cons, I was using their terminology for anime. I'm like, this is basically an isekai. She goes to another world, she gets to jump to different worlds. But then that new one that I have out, Fanny Made, that is straight up anime. Like that's the one that if somebody paid me money tomorrow to make an anime, that's the one I would do. So we're trying to cater more to that crowd, because
that's a smart
that's
move.
what's popular right now.
And honestly, like no offense to the elder folks in the room, like me. We're a dying breed. I mean, no offense. I don't mean to break it to you if you didn't know, but this ain't forever and life is terminal. So we're not going to be here forever. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but best case scenario, I'm a lot closer to the end than say Mr. Midlife is, or my kids are. Lord willing and creek don't rise. They're going to be here a lot longer than me. And the kids that are out there right now that are, spending a lot of money on mangas and stuff, they're the market for tomorrow. They're the ones that we should really be marketing to, I think, if we want this to last long term. And there is a certain amount of value in the older collectors that have more disposable income and are willing to spend it on nostalgic stuff. That is definitely a market share for sure. But I really think, if we're really looking for tomorrow, we should be looking more anime and manga. Ultra Comics says maybe a fun Jupiter Jack book would be fun for the kiddos. That would be a good one to do, and that could be all ages friendly. And we could do a book about everything all the characters that we've created on Roll for Hero. Dang, that's a good idea and a good reason to make that book. We should make that an option on Patreon. You could go back.
There you go. Well, the funny thing is, yeah, I mean, obviously I've heard that and I've seen the sales numbers and stuff, but it always shocks me too, especially like being on TikTok, and I guess the algorithm is finally like showing me other people that deal with comics. I've been coming across lately several like young people, like people in their 20s, that they've built their TikToks around, hey, I'm checking out, comics, and I picked up this trade, and I asked people for opinions on this, and I mean their whole thing is based on that. And they're pretty young, and they're liking traditional stuff. So that is hopeful, hopeful that even though if manga's still there'll still be room for all this classic stuff.
Oh yeah.
and the younger generations will still pick up and still make a big deal out of. So,
And I think there's always going to be room for it. Like, My Hero Academia showed that there can be a lot of interest in superheroes, you know, done in an interesting new way for a new generation can make that really cool. And yeah, that's what we need, Esteban, is more work to do. That's what we need. Just add one more iron to that fire for me. I sure appreciate it. Mighty neighborly of you. I tell you, Florida man over there just can't mind his business. We fight so hard every week not to end up starting a new comic off of all the ideas that the people in the comments shout out and all the ideas that we get, all the brain blast ideas I get in the middle of the show where I'm all like, oh my God, and, go off on some tangent because I got a new idea. And there's so many cool things that I want to do, but we just don't have time to do them all. And I tell you, I keep saying it and I keep not doing it. And if I do it, I'm going to do it with the Jupiter Jack Meteor Mandy book. But if I had it to do over again, I would go like black and white ash can comic that I could print at home and keep cheap and, run like a, I don't know, $200 Kickstarter pre-order or something to get people, give them a chance to pre-order, print up copies. I could make new copies anytime I wanted to for next to nothing for a show I was going to this weekend or whatever. And then if people like that black and white comic enough, then, do the collected versions in a trade and color it and make like a full blown thing out of it. But it would let me try out all the ideas down and dirty and, affordably to produce. Because for me, like, I don't have to pay, I do have to pay my artist because he has a mortgage and bills and kids to feed, but I don't have to output it like you have to do to get the artist to do it. I have to save half my paycheck. Well, like you probably do too. It's the same thing. I have to save half my paycheck to turn around and give to my artist to draw my books so that he can afford to eat and stuff and do it. But that would be a lot cheaper to do if we were doing a black and white book. And then you can try it out and see, do people like it? And, is this going to be a fun, easy sell at shows and people really gravitate to it? Like I was surprised. I only took T-Man and Hyperstrike to a con because I had a free table for being on a TV show about people with Tourette's. And I never expected anybody. I had a couple of local Tourette's friends I knew were going to come get a copy from me and a couple of friends that were probably going to show up and buy a copy to be supportive. I had no idea I would sell to just so many regular con goers, and that still, if they cross my path locally at a con, will ask me if the next issue's out. But I had no idea that would sell so well. But some things sell great, some things are a harder pitch. Alice has been so easy. All I got to do is say she's a badass blonde bounty hunter. And most women are like, oh my God, she's just like me. Yes, she is. Here, you can have the book, 100%. And,
we had to have the same top and everything.
Yeah. You halfway to her cosplay right now. You're cold, aren't you? This is real uncomfortable. I'm such a dad. Oh my God, I want to be like, girl, put some clothes on. You're gonna catch your death of cold. I'm so bad at cons. I want to just hug them and feed them and beat the guys with my cane and tell them to leave them alone and keep the damn hands off of them. It's cosplay. It's not a grabbing contest. And I go into total dad mode with cosplayers at cons. I feel so protective, and I try and measure that reaction, because if you don't know me, that could come off as real scary when a giant, suddenly wants to be mother hen.
Yeah, when Virgil shows up, basically.
Yeah, Which is where you get characters like Virgil who look big and scary and aren't. Not that he can't hurt
Yeah, no,
you. Like, he picks people up left and right like they're nothing.
I was gonna say you were talking struggle of like not wanting to do a comic for every idea that you have. Yeah, it is hard because then you really gotta decide like what am I gonna put my time and effort to, and yeah,
Mhm.
you can question, is it gonna make money? Is it not gonna make money? Is it just for fun? Am I just doing this for myself? Or like I had Roy's doing a Halloween theme book, and I was talking to him about a specific Halloween theme con that comes out here every September. And as long as you have it ready by that con, we can get a table and you can sell it there. And I was like, man, like an all ages Halloween style book, and I had an idea and I was starting to run with it. And then, I had to like put the brakes, and I just was telling Sarah, I'm like, oh, I'm going to spread myself too thin with this idea. And I don't feel like it's fleshed out. Like I was really struggling to come up with just the simple, like I said, the little 5-page book, $5 book. And
Mhm.
just like, I'm going to shelve it for now and just focus on the stories that I know that we have that are solid, that are ready to go, not try to force something. So yeah, you just have to
Yeah.
temper yourself sometimes.
Oh, it's so easy to get excited and get riled up, and, and all it costs is a social media post to say, "Yeah, we're launching this next," whatever, and but it's a whole 'nother thing to, like, actually see
Mhm.
that whole book through and, have it written and all this stuff, and it's a whole thing, and I keep coming up against, probably more often than I should, worrying about, how is it gonna sell? And I don't wanna just create things to sell. "What's up, Eddie Von B?" I
Mhm.
don't wanna, like, just be like, "Oh, well, booby books do pretty good. I'll do me a booby book." Like, I'm not that guy. Or, "Oh, this is popular right now. Let me do a ripoff real quick of this thing." Y I'm not that guy either. So, you know, I'm not I don't wanna just end up chasing trends, which is easy to do when you start, focusing on that stuff, but also, it would be kind of foolish, being as this is my business and how I make my living, to not consider, how well is something gonna sell. And, you know, I
Mhm.
I I put Green Zone on the back burner for a while because it got to be a tougher sell at shows, because as soon as I said cops, it doesn't matter what side of the line you're on about police officers, people automatically assumed I must be on the other side, and would get this look in their eyes, and they would quit listening to me. And however you feel about police officers, that's not what this book is about. This book is about how hard it
Mhm.
is to be in a world looking like this, and how you can try and do everything right and still have the world look at you as a monster, and still be waiting for any opportunity for you to stumble, to say, "See, see, I told you he was going to fall." And, and how some people can do everything right and still end up losing. And that stinks, but that's real life that we got to deal with. And we all know somebody who's had to go through stuff like that, or have been through that. And, that's what the story is about. And it's about these characters that are, afraid to walk around in their own skin. And, you know, everybody seems to be out for them for one reason or another. And some of those reasons seem completely silly and contradictory to each other, you know, like humans will hate Virgil because he's a big scary genome, and he's obviously just a monster who wants to eat your babies. But then other genomes that look like Danny over here will often hate people like Virgil because you're the reason that humans hate us and think we're all monsters when we're not. And, and there's a lot of complex layers to it, and, self-hatred and all kinds of deep things going on. And oddly enough, that all comes directly from the Tourette's community, and is all stuff I picked up there and added to the story. And it it has broken my heart how much people have identified with like that part of the story in particular in their own communities, with, either like being biracial and you're not enough of one thing for one half the family and you're not enough the other for the other family, or, being too light skinned to, fit in with all the black kids at college, or, and you're too dark to fit in with the white kids, or, all kinds of different people that have identified with it, which is touching and means a lot, but it's also kind of makes me mad sometimes that so many people can identify with some of the saddest parts of my life that I incorporated into the story. I wish that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
I wish I had to do a lot
Yeah.
more explaining for people to
No, but
understand it.
yeah, I kind of got into that a little bit because the panel I did at the high school was how to create a memorable character. And so I started off the kids with some, some classic characters, thrown some anime in there, some contemporary characters, and then of course some of them were dressed up favorite characters, so I gave them a chance to talk if they wanted and tell me why did you pick that character, what do you like about it, and yeah, I got a lot of like I really like like Deku from My Hero was one of them. It's like I really like how he just never gave up, and even when he got hurt, he would get back up again, and just very
Hmm.
inspiring. And that's I was trying to reiterate to them. I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. Like that's a great illustration. Like why we even care about stories at all, because we started off by talking about character design, and then went into study the character, and then I said, once you have all that and your character looks cool, well then it's like, okay, why do they exist, what's the story, and then that's what you work on last, or however whatever order you want to do it in. But that's what people are going to remember is like how the story made them feel basically, and then they may be cosplaying your character at a con someday.
Hmm.
So yeah, absolutely, that's a lot of what we get to see with these characters we create, and the stories that they come back and tell us of how it made them feel or how it made them deal with rough parts of their life. Because one thing, that's why I gravitated towards the X-Men when I
Hmm.
did. It wasn't just the cool Jim Lee art. It was the feeling of being different and all that stuff. It was
Yeah.
like hey, I can relate to that.
Yeah. And that's something that a lot of us
So
can
real
identify with.
interesting. I've been watching a lot of people like doing countdown to.
A lot of us can identify with that feeling for one reason or another, whether it's, being neurodivergent in a, world full of neurotypicals and not understanding how they communicate, and being ostracized because of it, or if it's, because of being a different race or a different gender, or, whatever, being the only gay kid in school, or whatever it is. That feeling of being an outsider is something that a lot of people could identify with, and that's what's been so meaningful when people are like, "Oh, you mean, the people in Green Zone, the genomes are black, or they're gay, or they're, whatever." They insert their community in there, and they're identifying with it, and it means a lot to me that people can do that. Like I said, it also makes me sad, but it means a lot that these crazy stories that I came up with, and, made out of a fever dream, and, my life story, ended up making characters that people can identify with and mean a lot to them. And to see how many people were chomping at the bit, and I did not realize how many people would be so excited for Green Zone to be back at the trade. And
Hmm.
honestly, I didn't think anybody cared. I mean, I had a couple of people asking about it, but they were, they're my buddies. I don't really think anything about that. And like, yeah, it's my buddy. J Man's always going to say something nice about Green Zone. But I forget we weren't friends before Green Zone. I didn't know J Man. He backed it when I was on a podcast, I think on Chat and Draw with Mike Watson. and he backed it and messaged me to tell me he liked it, and we've been friends ever since. And I forget that all the time. I don't think of myself as having fans. And then I remember, like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know Mr. Midlife until he came through one of my live streams and ended up buying up all the books in my TikTok shop, and now he is my first backer on every campaign.
Oh man, that is another thing on my to-do list this year. I have to get our TikTok shop up.
It was great in the beginning for me, and admittedly they definitely want you to be spending, a certain amount of time there, and going live and stuff and promoting your things to make sales. And as long as I invested the time in going live every night and all that stuff, at first I was pulling in, like an extra $1,000 a month on sales, which was great. But that also meant that I was so busy doing that I couldn't do books. And, it felt cheesy to have to apologize to people and be like, "Yeah, I'm sorry I'm behind on your book from what I said, but I've just been so busy packing orders." That felt weird. But uh but then once I couldn't go live all the time, it dropped. It dropped like a rock. And now last I heard they were making a bunch of weird changes to shipping and stuff, and they wanted to pull an Amazon and make you like send your stuff to them so they could ship it out and charge you storage fees and stuff for holding your wares in their warehouse. But now last I heard, I think they're making some changes and letting people sell it themselves, but making shipping harder on them, to encourage them to want to do it their way. But yeah. They lost my
Yeah, once we have some more collections set up.
It's definitely worth giving it a shot because it's been real successful for a lot of folks. And I was worried when they announced they were making changes to the shipping, because like I know some guys on there that have recently like quit their jobs and stuff because they're bringing in so much money selling their books on there, doing lives all day. And I was like, oh man, like he just quit his job, dude. You can't go changing it on him now. Like all the millions of people that were getting paid by TikTok for their streaming and whatnot, and then all of a sudden the government's like, no, we're just going to take that away. That was terrifying. And I don't think has gone back for a lot of them to what it used to be. Not everybody, anyway. So what's on the horizon for you with your books? What are you working on right now again? For the people just tuning in.
So right now, Malia 2 is being worked on as we speak. She actually just sent me the designs for the new characters in the book today. So that's what I'm going to focus on getting out next, the pre-launch page, as soon as I get these hardcovers from the last Kickstarter finally created. I'm still waiting for approval from Mixum. And after that, I know my friend Jesse's got his next Kickstarter coming in the summer. And then proud of our friend Roy, who does Hunt a Hero, because he's doing his first book that he's going to do on his own in the summer. That's the Halloween book I was talking about. And awesome. I don't remember when Jesse's going to do, because he has one last Teen Strike wraps up this first arc, and I know he wants to get that done this year. And then I'll have Carla, who's doing Malia. She'll work on Fannie Mae next and do the issue 1 of that, because I already have the 0 issue for that one. And then I know Roy said once he's done with the Halloween book, then he wants to come back around to How to Hunt a Hero so we can continue that story. And I feel like we finally settled on a good way to continue it. So that's not going to pan out this year, but at least the first couple of things will. Malia for sure. And hopefully Fannie Mae after that. But it will probably get put a lot of it the spring of next year too.
Eddie
Fine, because
says,
this is the
"Ooh,
time of the
Halloween
year
book."
that we anniversary for our company here. It's going to be called Hollow Queen, and it's based heavily. Roy loves the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and so he's a pretty cool way to work a lot. And I mean, he is like deep into the lore. Like I thought I liked that story and took up a lot more about it that I knew that he incorporated into his book.
You hardcore like this story.
So yeah,
okay.
just no, like he's been there, like he's been to Sleepy Hollow and everything. So like this is definitely his passion project. But yeah, if you just follow us on our social, I'll be sharing his stuff too. His tag on Instagram by Rogo, ROGO. So directly on there, he's been sharing a lot of pieces he's done, and he's had a couple of commissions done. So it's turning out really good, and he's doing the main story, and then he got a really good artist to do kind of a backup story for one of the characters. So it's just turned out to be a really good book. That should be out in the summer. He's going to launch it as part of what they call Summerween, which is a new thing for me. It was a thing.
Oh wow, cool! Eddie's been there
nice.
too. You got a new background on that book.
Nice. But yeah, I don't think we finished talking about earlier. Yeah, I'm gonna do less cons, or at least less expensive cons, and we'll probably just keep hitting Kickstarter a little bit harder this year. So last year was all about the cons. But talking about all ages books, one advantage if you do go that route is you get to go to more events that are family friendly. So like we've gone to libraries, the high school I just mentioned this past weekend, and usually you can get a free table if you want to do a panel for them or something. So that's another advantage that you would enjoy if you do decide to do an all ages book.
Yeah,
carve watermelons.
I've got a good story in line that was going to be a scarier adult book, but the more me and TS were talking about just like what the options are, and like how profitable it is to like do a book through Scholastic if you can get in there, and stuff like that. And we were talking about the story ideas that we had, and he's like, if you took that idea that you've been tossing around for a while and made that a kid's version, that would be a really awesome, like, middle grade book, and they'd probably eat that up. And so I was like, you know what? It's worth doing a pitch that direction and see if anybody bites. I can always age it back up again later on if I want, and do the scarier original version of it. But yeah, it's going to be cool, and get to incorporate monsters and all that stuff that I like, and steampunk machines, magical machines like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and stuff. Always loved a good old fashioned transforming car.
Yeah, if we ever get to do it, because these next couple of years for indie comics for us are going to be very important as far as money made or not made. But basically, this Malia, we're doing very short arcs. We're just before we do a collection. So after Malia 2, I'm going to just do a small hardcover collection that has 0, 1, and 2, and whatever we do for the next set, I already have some games in mind. And have you ever heard of a game called Betrayal at House on the Hill?
Follow Joe Soliz, Eddie. Go follow him on Facebook, wherever you can find him. Child's Play Comics. Give them a follow. He'll keep you up to date on what's going on.
Yeah, if you go to Eddie, if you go to childsplaycomics.com, if you go to childsplaycomics.com, Eddie, at the very bottom is all of our social medias listed. So just pick your favorite and follow us there. I was just asking if you were familiar with a board game called Betrayal at House on the Hill.
No, I am not.
So it's got a pretty cool mechanic. It's like you're going through a haunted house, and it's one of those tile games. So as you go into the new room, you get to lay out a new tile, and then figure out mysteries and stuff in there. Well, there's a point in the game where there's a mechanic. Somebody gets chosen as the betrayer, basically, and then that person has to physically leave the room with the betrayer packet to go read up on what they're supposed to do next. And then the rest people regroup, and then that person comes back to the game, and now they're playing it as the betrayer. A cool mechanic, and you never know who's going to be the betrayer. Happens, and then it basically.
But you know who they are once they leave the room, right?
Oh yeah. In that respect, but I'm saying like you don't know which player is going to get it because I'm pretty sure it's random. It's been a long time since I played it, but I'll definitely have to replay it before I write an issue about it. But anyway, all that to say that like I have you in mind for a variant cover that would pretty much be like a Scooby-Doo homage. I have to find the picture, but I feel like it's them in front of a haunted house or something, and they're all kind of posed on the steps, like with that where they're all kind of looking in different directions, like if something's going to get them. But I think you would do a really good job on that one. I mean, it's not like you don't ever do a good job, because you always do. But I'm just saying, like I was thinking of you specifically when I'm
sucking out loud.
I know, right? So,
yeah.
But like I said, if that ever happens, it wouldn't be until the next round of issues.
Yeah, gotta, and you're playing the smart game at it too, which is the good way to do it. A lot of people just go too far headlong in too fast. And like you said, you were on that one project, you were thinking it through and like, is this really what I need to be investing in right now? And just because it's exciting doesn't necessarily mean it's, just because it's giving you the dopamine hit right now doesn't mean that's where you need to put your money. And
yeah,
that's a smart way to go. For sure.
Okay, I got your friend request, Eddie. Thank you. Let me go invite you to the pages. But yeah, there's too many things, man. There's even the ones that I would say are like in the top tier of, these need to get done, and these are like maybe in the second top tier to get done. Even that top tier is in question right now, like if we'll ever get to that.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of those. Well, they're great stories that I would love to do, but also I got to make money. So, I got to focus on the ones that I can focus on, and make the choices you got to make to get to the end of the day and the end of the month, and not feel bad about it.
it's kind of like I was telling you when we were meeting, when we were talking about doing this pinup. I was like, you know, I always try to find a story that I'm like, okay, this artist needs to do this story,
Mm-hmm.
and like if you hadn't already, I think I told you this too. If you hadn't already done Caw, I would have given you something that was very like He-Man ish like that, because I just really like Caw. Like, really think you nailed the look with that book, and it was
Yeah.
just like really made for you. I know it was made by you, but it's like made for you. So,
It's so
um,
much fun and such an easy story that just basically writes itself. And I thoroughly enjoy that one, and I want to get back to that one too, like I do Green Zone. But you know, also, I really want to get this. I want to get this first issue arc, this first 6 issue arc of Alice out, um, pretty quickly too. And Caw doesn't really have an arc per se. Like he's like a Saturday morning cartoon. So each episode just really lends right into the next one, and it's not like, okay, this is this big overarching story for him. It's just action, and it's not that deep. So I'm like, I'm never going to get to a good stopping place to be like, here's the trade. It's just eventually going to be like, this will make a good trade and put it out.
yeah.
But Alice, her story can go on forever, but there's definitely an arc that we want to hit, and I want to get that out there and get it out into the world and let people steep in it for a second and see what they think of it. And but it's also my baby. It's my passion project. So, you know, if I'm gonna do it,
Mm.
it's time to invest in it and do it right.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
I'm gonna big in that a little.
All right, Eddie. The invite to our page is incoming on Facebook. All right. I still think. Oh gosh, that's the quote of the night. I was looking at the chat. We carve watermelon for summer's eve. I don't think I've eaten plenty of watermelon. I've never carved it. Oh.
That is. That is, yeah, that's a new one on me.
Oh, oh, here you go. If Eddie's still here, you can hear a funny story involving watermelons. And involves my father. He used to work in the fields when he was younger down here. Because down here in Texas, there's plenty of melon fields, plenty of work, and so he was describing to me the way that they would do the line. Like somebody would be down on the ground grabbing it off the vine and then toss it to the next person, and then they would toss it to the person in front of the truck, and then that person would toss it up into the back of the truck. And these were like the tall, like dump truck style ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so my dad said, "Here you go." Speaking of dealing with bullies, my dad said there was this one guy who was always picking on him, and so my dad was up on the truck, and then was at the bottom, and so he would purposely throw the watermelon to where it would almost fall. So basically, Dad would catch it, it would slam his hand down into the edge of the truck, uh, on
Uh,
purpose. Yeah, and after a couple of times, my dad kept telling him to cut it out, and he wouldn't do it. So one more time he tossed it, my dad grabbed it, and he throws it back down, and it slams on the bully's head. And the bully, of course, gets all mad. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna come up there and kick your," and the foreman is watching this whole time, and he goes, "No, you're not." He goes, "I've been watching you this whole time. You instigated that. You deserve that." So I always think about that when people talk about watermelons. My dad smashing that on a bully's head.
Awesome, man. Thank you, Eddie.
Yes, thank you so much.
It's that kind of support that means the world in the indie comics world. People
Hmm.
that are, happy to shout you out and help out. And that's the best way to get the word out because, we can scream into the void all day long, but somebody else saying, "Hey, I checked this out and I really liked it." Like that's why I went on and on about Fred's book that I read cuz I really liked it. And dude, we all see a lot of indie books and some of them are really great and some of them have staples and pages and um you
um,
you got to
well,
shout out the
you
good
know it's
stuff when you
funny
see it.
because it's funny. Obviously, I'm always sharing people's stuff because that's
Oh yeah.
what people were saying needed to be done, right? So I was just like, well, I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna do it. And a friend, he actually makes tabletop games right now, but he had an idea for a comic and he wanted to talk to the night. And so we jumped on a call and we're talking, and he goes, "All the projects I see you share," he goes, "Do they like pay you for that, or like what are you getting out of that?" And I was like, "Dude, it's just making connections, man. That's all it is. You see all those projects. I have no stake in them, depending on the person." I told him, like you, for example. Like I consider Fish a friend. Like I back all his stuff.
Mhm.
Like feel like I've had a really good connection with you all these last couple of years. So you're up there in my backing, and other people just like, I like this creator. I like, I follow them online. They're not a psycho. I'll share their stuff. So uh,
Joe's
it's
got his
but
his
yeah,
bar
it,
set
it
real
it truly
high.
is just that.
Not a psycho. That's uh,
Yeah, I
that
know,
guy's got a lot of fun.
right? but but yeah, I've been toying with this idea. It's just time, like everything else.
Hmm.
Like I wanna just do a show that just cases the people I've met over the last 5 years. But that was one of the questions that I wanted to put on the show. Is like I have to have known you at least for a year online before I let you on the show. That way,
Well,
it's a
yeah,
nice
because
long enough
somebody can
time to vet.
seem like a cool person and then get online and all of a sudden start yelling out crazy stuff, or you know,
Hmm.
or not be as cool as they made themselves out to be online and are just in it for themselves, or like like honestly, I want to see all my friends succeed. I want to see most of the people I don't like succeed. Why not? It's not like your book doing good is going to stop people from buying my book. Like, I mean, if they're running at the same time and, and we're running books that seem almost identical, maybe they pick one over the other, but that doesn't happen very often. And
Mhm.
I want to see everybody like it, you know, and even if a book's not 100% my cup of tea, but it's quality and it's a good book, I still want to get it out there to people because it might really be your jam. And like maybe I don't know. I really like K-pop Demon Hunters, but say that's not really my bag, and I didn't get it. But I can't argue that it wasn't well made and it wasn't well done. I went into watching it thinking this was just another like Netflix kids show and was going to have real low quality and be garbage, and I was really surprised by the quality of it. And I was like, okay, maybe this isn't just junk. And then I was like, okay, maybe this isn't just for kids. And then I see my daughter-in-law just a bop into the songs and she has them all memorized. And I'm bopping my head. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good. But if
Mhm.
I didn't get it, that doesn't mean you might not get it. And it's good. So why not shout it out and let people know about it?
Oh, thank you, Eddie. I found you guys right now, and I subscribe to your channel. So yeah, hit you up as soon as we have something live. Because yeah, that's always the struggle too, trying to schedule interviews that up. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to see Lori Calcaterra be on our show next Tuesday because I thought that I was going to have something to promote, but I think we're just going to end up having fun.
Yeah, last time I was on, we were promoting my pre-launch page because things got bumped back just a little bit, and I didn't want to start the next campaign without the book being done. So we promoted the pre-launch page, but it's still fun.
Well, that happened to me the first time I went on Four Tails podcast with Karen and Danny. Is that I was fighting with because it was that thing where they were like, well, you know, you haven't done 4 Kickstarters yet, and it looks like your backers from the last Kickstarter haven't marked that they've received their stuff, so we really can't approve this pre-launch page. And I was really wanting it to be approved, so we just talked, you know, and we talked about the book, but I tell them that, like, you know, it's just not live yet, or the pre-launch wasn't even available. So yeah, for sure, Eddie. I love that name, by the way, Weird Dopes. But anyway, yeah, but back to what I was saying, like, yeah, and you know, not everybody reciprocates when I share. Have never ever said thank you. Some people say thank you all the time, you know, and so I just do. I'm like, it's funny. It reminds me of a saying my grandfather always used to tell me. It was such a simple saying, but it was so like meaningful. He would always be like, you know, we were from a small town, by the way, so everybody knew everybody. He like, you know, I tell people hello, and if they don't tell me back, you know, I've done my part. Like I showed that I was being cordial, basically, and chooses not to. There's nothing you can do. And that's kind of the way I've approached it with this. Like, I will show your stuff, you know, I'm not going to hold it against you, you know, if you don't say thank you, but, you know, I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't bother me. Like, we have this little system on Facebook, the like button. All you got to do is hit like to acknowledge that you saw that I shared your stuff, you know, and that's it. You don't even have to say anything, you know, and it's
for the record, if I ever miss you, I assume there's a blanket consistent, I really appreciate you. And there's other dudes like David Dobb and stuff that go through a lot of trouble to make sure they comment on everybody's post to give it some engagement, because a lot of us, we get tired and, you know, don't do it. And I really appreciate you for that. So if I ever forget to say thank you, I want you to know I appreciate you. Like, out loud, I do appreciate you.
No, I know you do it. And, you know, I was about to say, it's Facebook too, because lately it picks and chooses when it notifies you. So, like, there's been times when I've commented on somebody's post and I'm like, I know this person would have thought that was funny, or just based on knowing them or something. And I go straight to that post. Sure enough, they commented, but it never notified me. And I'm like, this is so annoying. So now I have to take that into account. You know, if I don't hear from anybody. There was one time when that first started. There's that group, the comics, that I post. So, you know, it's usually every Monday. He said, you know, post everybody's Kickstarter. I swear to you, nobody commented on one Monday. Like, okay, this is really weird, because I know these people, and I know that they would comment or at least hit a like or something. And I'm like, nobody? That was just like, Mark Zuckerberg, what are you doing? Like, you're messing me up.
Like, oh yeah, and sometimes like I'll get notifications and all kinds of weird orders and stuff, and like I'll be like, I'll be not getting any notifications from anybody about anything for the longest time, and then all of a sudden I'll get a whole bunch of stuff that's a month old, and like, oh, you know, so and so commented on your post, blah blah blah, and I'm like, why didn't you tell me this weeks ago that this happened?
All right.
Or all of a sudden I'll get all these notifications because at one point I had to set my page to like, if you share something and tag me in it, it doesn't show up on my page unless I click OK on it, because there was a time there that I had to worry about stalkers and people that were, causing trouble and trying to, you know how people will get. And I couldn't just have anybody posting anything on my page and
Mhm.
tagging me in it. So, and then I will get stuff. There'll be no notifications forever, or there'll be one notification or two because my wife posted something with me in it. And I'll go, oh yeah, go click OK. And then all of a sudden I'll get a whole bunch of notifications of stuff people were posting about me, like during the last campaign, and I didn't know they did it. And I'm like, I would have liked to have known that,
Mm.
Zuckerberg. That would have been real nice to know at the time that people were, cared enough to shout out projects like Green Zone Life in the Blocks, available now. Go MrFish.com. Um,
Well, the other thing too is I think you mentioned it earlier too. There's the other aspect too is like, yeah, all this sharing and whatnot. And even when I ask some people that I feel like I've got to know well enough, that I will direct message them and be like, hey, I've got a pre-launch page. Can you follow it?
mhm.
And thankfully, so far has told me, well, you realize I'll follow it, but I'm probably not going to back it. I already kind of know who will and who won't, and I know everybody's situation is different. Maybe you don't have the money or whatever,
Mhm.
but there's some creators that do take that to heart, and I'm like, yeah, but there's so many of us. Like, at some point, you're gonna have to make a choice of who to back all the time, who not to. You know, I think I've done pretty well in the last 5 years that I can honestly say I've backed. I would pretty close to almost one project per every, like, I would say the major players in the indie comics that we know. You look at my history, I want to say I've gotten at least one project backed of each person. Still working on some, still meeting people, still learning, obviously, but yeah,
Oh yeah.
I've got,
And
you know,
some people take a lot of offense, like if you backed one time and then you don't back forever, like people will take
mm,
offense to that and be like, well, if he's not going to back my books, why am I going to back his? And I mean, if that's the only reason
yeah,
we're doing this, then that's fine. Don't back my stuff. I if it's
yeah,
only for what I can give you, then yeah, you're not the audience I'm shooting for anyway. Like I
yeah,
want to find people that like my stuff and enjoy it. Um, if it was a quid pro quo or something for you before, that's I'm not if that's okay, if that's how you do it, but I want to find people that are here because they really like it. And um
yeah,
it is what it is. But
yeah.
yeah, some
And
people
that's the
hold a real
struggle
grudge about
sometimes too. Is that, like, sometimes you're like, yeah, really do like that, but man, can I afford that again this month or whatever?
it. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Or like, I really like that book, but they know it's good. And so they're charging twice as much as everybody else is charging for the same kind of book. And as
Mm,
much as I like it, maybe I can't afford that right now. Or I'd rather, when it comes down to it, I'd rather be able to back two other people's books for what it's going to cost to back your
mhm,
one book. And,
mm.
and this time it went to them. If that means we're not friends anymore, then that was a pretty fragile friendship, but okay. That
Yeah.
reminds me of a story like your grandpa was saying about friendship that really meant a lot to me. It was a powerful teaching moment for my kids because, for anybody who's known me any length of time, I went through a divorce a while back and it got kind of ugly, as divorces can do sometimes. And it was without a doubt the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life. And
Mm,
dang near broke me, dang near took me off the census, but I made it through and survived. And I'm glad to be here, and life is so much better and happier. Um, I never imagined my life could be as good as it is now. So there's always hope. Don't give up. Keep trying. I want you to be here. I'll listen to your garbage all night long if it means you'll be here tomorrow. But that being said, I went through a really hard time. My friends all knew I went through a really hard time. My real life, like in live downtown friends, knew this was the hardest thing I ever been through in my life. They all disappeared. Every single one of them disappeared for one reason or another. Either it was too ugly because she was saying all kinds of crazy stuff and then she disappeared and abandoned the kids and all this, and it was a whole mess. Or like we were really prevalent in the church and I was one of the elders of the church and stuff, and no, that's too complex. I don't want to be associated with this, and just turned their backs and left, knowing this was the hardest thing in the world I was ever going to go through. Fast forward, like, a year later, this guy that had turned his back on me in my hardest time, his dad, who he had the closest relationship, beautiful relationship between a father and son. I pray me and my kids can be that close till I'm gone. When his dad died, he called and let me know that his dad had just died. I threw my pants on, hit the door, and I was out the door in 5 minutes. And I was at his house before the EMTs got there, before the coroner got there. I was there to listen to him cry, to hold his mom, to hug his sister, to, go in there with the coroner and stuff, so they didn't have to, like, I did everything I could to be a blessing to them in that time. And afterwards, one of my kids asked me, like, he was not there for you in the worst time of your life when you needed him. Why were you there for him? And I thought about it for a second. I was like, ultimately, the way you treat me, the type of friend you are to me does not determine the type of friend I am to somebody. Like, I am the kind of friend I am because I was always there when his dad was in the hospital. I was always there holding his hand and praying with him and being there for him. I'm not going to change the type of friend I am just because he proved that he can't be that same kind of friend to me. If he can't be that kind of friend, that's okay. I know who he is. I know what he can and can't do. That's fine. That doesn't change who I am. I am the guy that shows up for you when you need me. And so that was important to me. And, and I didn't really think about it until I had to explain it to my kid, but it makes sense to me now.
No, that's awesome. And obviously,
oh man, Weird Doves, if you have a project going that I can't back, do you get insulted if I just pledge $1 or $2 to help out? I actually got a nasty gram from a campaign for donating $1. I was on sick leave.
oh my gosh.
First off, screw them and the horse they rode in on is my take on it. You can quote me on that.
Yeah.
Engrave that in some chocolates and send it to them with a big bow on top from your Uncle Fish. That's crappy. Man, just giving a share is huge, especially when you don't have money. And sometimes we don't have money. I make comic books for a living. I am a broke-ass artist. I often don't have money. So, sometimes the digital tier is all I can do. Sometimes the dollar is all I can do. But I want to be supportive and, help out where I can.
Yeah. No, sorry they did that to you, Eddie. There's no reason for that. I mean, that's the reason Kickstarter has that, because that is an option. And it still helps.
And I get so many people that just back for $1, and that means a lot because they're not getting anything out of that. They're just here. I like what you're doing. And that little bit of encouragement means a lot. Means a whole lot. And not for nothing, those people that come in and back for $1 help boost like the milestone rewards and stuff, and will get me to be able to give away the next sticker when we hit 100 backers a whole lot quicker than, one person coming in and, making a huge bid is a lot less likely than a lot of friends coming in and saying, you know what, for $1, I can help everybody get a sticker. I love it, but I'm also not a jerk. So, take that as you will.
Yeah. I always
or
love
maybe
your
I am. That's my
interpretation
ex.
of the
Let's see. Oh, wow. I wish I could. Yeah, I feel you. Last September, and broke 2 vertebrae in my back and was out of work until January.
Gosh.
So I couldn't buy books. I had an abundance and medical bills and ambulance. Oh man. Dude, I feel you, man. That is
Yeah.
brutal. And
Sorry you had to go through all that.
nothing will cripple you faster than medical debt. Man, it should not be legal in an industrialized country to be able to ruin an entire family over somebody, say, getting sick and dying. Like you shouldn't have
Mhm.
friends begging for their life for donations from their friends who are also broke and struggling with medical debt because the fact that they're dying is going to cripple their family financially, and that should not be the case. But
Yeah.
but it are, because we let lobbyists pay people to make the rules. But this isn't Meet the Press. This is School of Fish with Jellyfish.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I'm gonna delay on mine. I was telling you I really like your interpretation of Malia all the time.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay.
Just, yeah, she just comes out really looking like the Saturday morning cartoon that I envision her as.
I always struggle with anime manga style figures because I never learned to draw that style. So I'm always like really studying it and trying to break it down and see how can I mimic this and make it look like that in my style. And I really kind of feel like that cover I did for Jesse's book with all of his teenage heroes, when I sat back and looked at that at the end, I was like, that looks an awful lot like he drew it. Like, because I worked so hard to mimic his style. I was like, dang, that really looks like he
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Weird Dope says, I'm glad you feel that way because I like to donate $1 or $2 for every indie campaign I can. So good to know you like it. It would have been 104,000 had I not had insurance. Even with insurance, it was over $4,000. Mind blowing over a simple fall in my kitchen. See, you should have fell at work. That was your first mistake. You can't go falling in your own kitchen like a newbie. Man, you need to. That needed to be out in front of Trump Tower. That needed to be down at the Walmart. It needed to be someplace with deep pockets. You should have fell at Disney. That's where you should have fell.
Yeah, they get you a free Mickey Mouse ice cream while they're waiting for the ambulance.
It'll be one of the wonky ones, but it's free.
So this freezer was defrosting on us, so we figured we got to do something with these. I'm gonna have. I don't know how much longer you plan to go, but I'm gonna have to call later soon because my days start at 4:45. So.
Yeah, it took me a little bit longer than I expected to get through the inks, but we got it. I think we're done with the inks now, and now I just got to color it, and that's going to be fun. Thank you very much.
Well, hold on. I think he said black and white, didn't he, on the instructions?
Oh yeah. It's black and white, but I got to put the gray tones in and stuff, which is going to be fun.
Yeah.
That's what I was really looking forward to on this, because in the stats he gave me, like the specs for this, it's black and white, so it's easy to reproduce. And I love black and white. That's what made me fall in love with like the old indie comics. Like when I fell for the old Ninja Turtles and stuff, I fell so deep in love with halftones and dot prints and zip-tone and all that stuff. Like that's what I always wanted to do, is do those kind of comics when I grew up. And then the whole world went to color and changed on me.
Oh yes, I remember you telling me that.
Oh, broke my heart. Had to learn to color and everything. Good night, Weird Dopes. It was glad to have you on. Glad we could hang out tonight. Good night to anybody else that's still hanging on in the comments. It's been a lot of fun. We got a cool pinup drawn, and now I get to go do the cool halftone gray scales and all those things. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope this does well for you, and I hope it turns into a cool poster one day down the road. Where can they find you on everything again, Joe? Where can they find you on the social medias and the interwebs?
Oh, you can just go to childsplaycomics.com, and at the very bottom of the website is all our socials. So just pick your favorite and follow us there. I'll try to make it easy.
And we are at, let's see, we are 12 backers away from the next milestone of 12 backers, even at $1. Will get us the next milestone and unlock the 3-inch Bellamy sticker to go with the 3-inch Virgil sticker that got released already. And we've already hit the first stretch goal, so all the physical backers get the metal bookmark and the 2 stickers when that next sticker gets unleashed. And lots of cool stuff to be found at GoMrFish.com. All the interwebs. Or you can go to Kickstarter and you can type in Green Zone and it will pop right up. Green Zone, one word. I didn't think about that when I made the title. It's one word for me in my world. And so put it one word and it will pop right up for you. Anyway, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. And turn that off. We are going to get out of here. So thank you very much. And we will see you next time.